is Life Insurance IQ. We'd love for you to use this event hashtag if you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter and you want to just comment about this event. And also be sure to connect with us on Twitter. On the screen you should see Vicki's. Her handle is at Vicki Gunvalson. I'm at Laura Adams. And for insuranceQuotes.com, we're at insuranceQTS. So hopefully you guys are seeing this presentation. If anybody's having problems, let us know by using your chat box if you can. You know, sometimes there are technical problems, so maybe your audio or your video might freeze for a moment. That's typical, that's normal. So if that happens, just be patient, and I'm sure we'll come back up for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. You know, I think for a lot of people, life insurance is a really tough topic. So I want to make sure that you know that, you know, if you're someone who's not really sure if you need life insurance, you're in the right place. This presentation is going to help you tremendously. Or maybe you're somebody that says, you know I need it, but I've got questions. I'm just really not sure what it's all about. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe you already have life insurance, but you're not sure if it's enough. You're wondering if you truly do have enough to protect your family. And, you know, maybe you're here just because you're a huge Vicki fan and you just want to see if she knows her stuff. And I can promise you that she does. I had the pleasure of meeting Vicki last week and seeing her beautiful office. So I can tell you she's a hardworking lady, and I'm really, really pleased to have her. And Vicki doesn't need any introduction. You know, she's somebody who many people know. In 2005, Vicki was asked to be part of the Real Housewives of Orange County, which, of course, we know has now become a phenomenon across the world. And Vicki, you actually received Bravo's Lifetime Achievement Award pretty recently, right, for being the longest-running housewife.
Yep, they haven't killed me off yet, so they did give me that. It's a beautiful glass slipper. It sits on my desk, and it just reminds me that, you know, I've accomplished something that I never really had looked for. Being on a reality TV show was probably one of the furthest things I ever wanted to be on. But it has given me a voice and an opportunity to help so many people across really the world on just educating women and men about finances, about life insurance and health insurance and retirement planning. So without that platform, I wouldn't have had this opportunity.
Fantastic. Yes, for those of you who don't know, you know, Vicki is an elite insurance agent, and she's the owner of Koto Insurance and Financial Services. And, you know, really has a very, very successful, probably one of the most successful agencies in the country. So I'm really, really happy to be able to work with her. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Adams. I'm a personal finance expert and author, and I'm the spokesperson for insuranceQuotes.com. And if you're not familiar with insuranceQuotes.com, it is a fantastic site that's completely free for consumers to use. It's a really wonderful place to get quotes, and that's how we've connected with Vicki. Vicki is one of our elite agents who is able to service the quotes that we get online. So I would encourage you to check out insuranceQuotes.com if you're not familiar with it to find out everything that we offer there. A lot of great resources and tools and just free information for you. So what are we going to cover in this presentation? You know, I think we really wanted to narrow this down to some key issues today that many people ask about. The first is, what are the major types of life insurance? That's just fundamental. That's very important to get a grasp on. We're going to talk about who really needs life insurance. Not everybody does, but we'd say probably the majority of you listening do. We're going to talk about common life insurance myths and put those to bed. And then we're going to talk about how much life insurance you really need. That's a very common question and can really trip people up, don't you think, Vicki?
Yes, absolutely. So life insurance, we have a 100% chance we're all going to die. I hate to break the news. But I talk about that with my clients. You know, when we're looking at, well, how much life insurance do you need and why do I need to buy life insurance? It's not for you, the consumer. It's for the people that you're going to leave behind. So we're gonna talk about how much is really what we need to look for and what type of insurance, but it's important that we have life insurance if we're a provider of our home.
Absolutely, and you know, it's something that I know you're passionate about, and I am as well. Now, if you stay on to the very end with us, we've got a Q&A with Vicki, and this is where you can get your questions answered live. So if your questions are not addressed in the presentation, I want you to feel free to ask questions. And so we've got a couple of gifts here that we're going to offer for those who are participating at the very end. So Vicki's got a book called Let's Talk Money. I've got a book, Smart Moves to Grow Rich. We're going to give away one of those books to one each to 5 participants who are asking a really good question in the Q&A that we addressed. So hopefully you'll participate, and we would love to send you those books in the mail right after the presentation. We'll get in touch with you and get your mailing address. So let's take a quick poll. I want to just find out a little bit about the folks who are on the line with us. And so what I want to find out is if you currently have life insurance. And if you would go ahead and answer this and let us know your situation. We're going to just give you a, maybe 30 seconds here and let everybody have a chance to chime in so we understand who's on the line, what your situation is. Okay, I see more and more people answering, more and more people. We're almost there. Want to make sure everybody has a chance to weigh in here and participate. We're seeing about 11 people that haven't answered yet, so if you can, please feel free to just choose one of those options and let us know what's going on with your current life insurance situation. 9 people haven't answered. Come on, I want to see 100% participation here. This is good. We're getting a lot of good feedback here. All right, I'm going to give you just a few more seconds, and then we're going to close the poll and take a look at the results. And by the way, if you are watching this on YouTube right now, if you're streaming, you may not see this poll that is up, but we will be showing you the results. So if you're streaming on YouTube, no worries, you won't have the opportunity to participate, but we will show you the results. All right, 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to close the poll here. And let's see what our results are. Looks like most people gave us some information. So it's tallying our results. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. WebEx is finishing up here. Okay, terrific. So what I'm seeing, Vicki, is that the majority of people say that they do have a life insurance policy that they purchased on their own. Okay, that's great. We have 11 people who said they do have a life insurance policy, so maybe they're wondering if they have enough. We're seeing 7 people say, yep, I got a life policy through work. We only see 3 people say, no, I don't have life insurance, but my spouse or significant other does. And we have 6 people or 7 who said, nope, I don't have any life insurance, and several people who didn't respond. So it looks like we've got a really mixed bag here. Terrific, everyone. I want to thank you for participating in that and giving us a little bit of feedback on your personal situation. So keeping that in mind, we're going to just jump right into the content and talk about the 2 major types of life insurance. And we've got term and permanent, which is also known as a cash value. And Vicki, when I was in your office last week, it's funny, I heard you on the phone with one of your clients talking about this. You were explaining the difference between term and permanent. So this is obviously a question that we need to address. What can you say about it?
Well, term, we have to think of renting a policy. There's no cash value. There's no permanency to it. You're renting it, and it's cheap. When we own a home or buy a home, it's more expensive than renting, and we own it for however long we want to keep it for. So that's what you have to distinguish between the 2. A young family that has starting out with children, most likely you're going to want to buy term. I would never recommend buying a 10 or 15-year term. We want to get at least to 20 or 30 years because that way you know your price is locked in for that period of time, at least while you're raising the children. So that's our biggest thing is making sure you buy the right policy. I've seen so many agents out there, I'm not going to mention company names, that push all these permanent policies on these young families. So if you had $100 to spend on life insurance, I'm going to encourage you to buy term insurance, like $500,000, 20 or 30-year term. I've seen some young families come in my office that have bought $100,000 permanent policy for that same $100. Well, God forbid that spouse dies or the breadwinner dies. They're only going to have $100,000 to raise their family, which isn't enough. So we need to cover that immediate gap of that breadwinner passing away. And the cemeteries are filled with people that never planned on dying. So you have to assume you or your client, if you're an agent, is going to pass away soon. And we hope you'll live forever. But if you don't, you've got to take over that immediate crunch that's going to hit that family. So that's the biggest difference between the two, either renting or buying.
Terrific. And when we think about the purpose of life insurance, what are the types of things that people really should think about life insurance providing for them? What can they use that money for after a loved one passes away?
Well, they can use it to replace income. So if your spouse is making $50,000 a year, you've got to replace that income somehow. So you can put that life insurance benefit in an annuity. An annuity pays out about 5%. So in that case, you'd need $1 million of life insurance times 5% would replace that $50,000 of income. So you've got to protect yourself on that loss of income in order to sustain your budget, your bills, your house, your kids. So that's your first thing. You've got to protect that income that's going to be lost upon a death.
Absolutely. And something like debt, if there's mortgages that are outstanding, that peace of mind knowing that the spouse you leave behind can just pay that off is just a tremendous gift to be able to give your family. So let's kind of move on here. I think hopefully everyone's kind of got the basic gist there between term and permanent. So let's talk about some specific situations here for people. What if you're single? What is, kind of the mindset that people should be thinking about if they're single? In some cases, what about a single person that may have co-signed debt with maybe a parent for a student loan or co-sign on a credit card with someone else? Should they also be thinking in terms of life insurance to protect themselves and their co-signer?
Well, absolutely. Anybody needs life insurance. If we aren't married right now, we don't have children right now, and you're young, you want to lock in your age and you want to lock in your health, because health can change at any point in time. So when you buy life insurance, the younger you are, obviously the less expensive it will be. So if you do have a debt with your parent or a significant other, protect that. You want to make sure that you have insurance to protect that so they don't get burdened with that debt.
Terrific. Certainly we think of parents as being the typical, type of consumer who is really, really geared for life insurance. But as you mentioned, it's for everyone. There's a situation where maybe you're married without kids, or, you're single but have debt with somebody else, maybe even a business owner. Can you talk a little bit about what business owners may need to think about when it comes to life insurance? Because they're kind of a special case.
Yes, we are. We are. I'm a business owner as well. I don't have any partners, but I am a sole business owner. But I've got a lot of life insurance on me. If I die tomorrow, I want to make sure my children are going to be able to keep the business going. So you can do a Keyman life insurance, which means you've got a key employee that you want to insure. If they were to die, you'd need that interim to find a new employee to replace their position. So that would be something. A second to die, you can do with a second to die, obviously, on spouses, you could insure the second spouse for estate tax reasons. But business owners, if you have a loan and you've personally collateralized a loan at a bank, your spouse is going to have that liability if you don't have life insurance to pay that debt. So you definitely want to have something that covers any type of debt.
Fantastic. Can you guys see the value of life insurance? As we're talking, I hope you're understanding what life insurance can do for you. Really, it's about peace of mind. And certainly using a site like insuranceQuotes.com to get free quotes is a great way to dip your toes in and find out, what this can cost you. I think there's a lot of myths around life insurance. Certainly one of them is that life insurance is expensive. That is a myth. Vicki, talk a little bit about how affordable, especially a term life policy, can be for the average person.
Well, life insurance rates are determined on your age, your health, and how much you buy. So when we blanketly say it's expensive, yes, if you buy a $20 million life insurance policy, that's going to be expensive. So we have to determine, first of all, how is your health? That's going to determine if you're a smoker. Definitely it's going to be more expensive than a non-smoker. But always something is better than having nothing at all.
Absolutely. We've done a lot of studies at insuranceQuotes.com about how people perceive insurance, and particularly life insurance. And I think it's interesting that many overestimate the cost. We had a situation where we were asking participants and survey participants about what they thought a $250,000 term life policy with a 20-year term for a healthy 30-year-old would cost. And a lot of them said, oh gosh, that's going to cost, over $3,000 a year. Some said even over $1,000 a year. And the actual cost in that situation is only about $150 a year. So we really want to, bring it home that life insurance does not have to be expensive. So let's talk about myth number 2, is that life insurance is too complex. What do you think about that, Vicki? Do you come up against that with your clients?
I do. I try to simplify it. My theory is this: keep it simple, stupid, KISS.
Yes.
So first of all, we determine how much coverage they need. Then I determine their budget. We may do half term, half universal life to make sure that they don't outlive that term. Statistically, if you're 30 years old, you're going to live to 90, 95. But obviously we do have deaths prior to that, so we want to take over that immediate need while you're raising your family. It's not too complex. Don't make it complex. It's not that difficult. There's either term or universal life, and you figure out what your budget is, what your income needs are, and you just do it. And so you cut out a couple Starbucks a week, or do whatever you have to do to have this, because I can't tell you how many times I've delivered death certificates to people that never planned on dying, obviously. So we just have to make sure that you simplify it and don't get yourself too overwhelmed with all these choices. You kind of do a funnel, you figure out what you need, and then you funnel it down.
Yeah, terrific. And then the third myth that we see a lot is that life insurance is difficult to get. A lot of people think, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go through some really grueling medical exam. There are some instances where you do need to have a checkup. There are some carriers that don't require that. So what would you say, Vicki, to somebody who says, oh my gosh, I'm either not going to qualify for insurance, or it's too difficult to get and are really just procrastinating?
Well, procrastination means you're never going to do it. There's never going to be a day you wake up and say, today's the day I'm going to buy life insurance, unless today is your day. But life is busy. People get busy, and sometimes it's too late when you get diagnosed with something or there is a death. You just have to, do it. Today's a perfect day. I mean, the longer you wait, the longer you're getting older, the more risk there is. So we just have to take responsibility for this. You pay your taxes, you buy life insurance, you get health insurance. You just have to make sure your basics of your foundation of your family is protected.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're not getting any younger. Every day that goes by, we're getting older, and we're having the opportunity, really, as you said, to get sick or to have something happen that's unexpected. So there is no time like the present to get your financial house in order, and certainly life insurance is a huge part of that. Yeah, so, moving on, I think we know that a lot of people say that they need insurance. 1 in 4 actually say they need more life insurance, but only 10% say they plan to buy a policy within the next year. And, this is really unfortunate, and I think maybe it goes back to that procrastination that we were talking about. People just tend to put things off. Life insurance certainly is not a pleasant topic. Nobody wants to think about their own death. but really it is the responsible thing to do, and making sure that your loved ones are protected. I mean, that's just a fundamental need and really happiness that we should all experience in life. So, Vicki, talking about getting life insurance, certainly we love working with you because our customers that come to insuranceQuotes.com are able to submit free quotes and get connected with quality agents like yourself. Literally, it's as easy as coming to our site, clicking the button that says life, or entering your quote information right here. Tell me a little bit about what it's like for you on the agent side. When somebody is submitting a quote through Insurance Quotes, what happens on your end? How do you know about it, and how do you treat that online quote?
So we get notified, and truly within 15 minutes, unless it's after 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we're contacting that prospective client that is looking for some life insurance needs. So we have a team. I've got 12 agents working underneath me right now. We're expanding the P&C division as we speak. But for life insurance, you're going to hear from one of our agents calling you and say, we received your request for information. Tell us why you went into the website and what are you looking for. Maybe some are looking to replace coverage they have. Maybe they've got it only with their employer and then they've lost their job. And by the way, those of you that have insurance only with your employer, I highly, highly encourage you to own your own policy. At any point in time, your employer can change benefits. You could get terminated. Whatever could happen, you may lose that coverage. Then you're going to have to go out and try to buy coverage at this age you are now, where if you would have bought it 10 years ago, it would be that much less expensive. So life insurance, obviously we want to take what the company gives you for free, and then you want to buy your own outside of that. The rates are much cheaper if you buy your own outside of a group plan.
Vicki, tell us a little bit about how you recommend we gauge exactly how much coverage we need. Do you have some tips to help figure that number out?
I do. So we work on the rules of age minus 100 for investment strategy, and then we work 10 to 12 times your annual earnings for the breadwinner. So if you're making $50,000 a year, minimum your spouse, you or whoever's the primary breadwinner, should have $500,000 to $750,000 of coverage. And then we add on debt on top of that. So if there's a mortgage, if there's outstanding credit cards, debt like that, we add that on top of it because you're going to need that money to pay off that debt or have the money to make the payments on all this debt. So that's where we come into play. Is we're not just order taking whatever you say you want. We have to actually fit you in the right plan. So if you go online and say, I want $100,000 of 10-year life insurance, that's a red flag for me. What made you choose that number and what made you choose that amount? Well, my friend has it. Well, that's not applicable for you. So we don't just order take. We actually really try to figure out what your coverage is needed for.
Fantastic. And are there any, you mentioned red flags, as people are getting quotes, are there any other red flags that people should watch out for if they're working with multiple agents? Anything that should make them really take pause and say, I don't know if this is an agent that I want to work with?
Well, I would discourage you for any agent that is captive. Captive means they only represent one company. So I'm not going to throw out names, but we can think of them. Let's just say State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, whatever those are. Maybe some of you are agents for that company. You only have one option to sell your client. And as a consumer, you don't know what else is out there if you're going to just one company to find it. So we have quoting engines where we actually can shop all the top 10 carriers and fit the right plan for you. We're not just going to pull out one company name. We're going to pull out all the top carriers and find out which is the best for you. Because term, we don't care about the name of the company, so to speak. We care about the rating of the company. We want an A-rated or better, but we want to get the cheapest plan possible. So why do you want to go to ABC company because you know that name when CDE is just as strong of a company, but $50 a month cheaper? So be cautious about that. Make sure your broker is shopping it for you.
Terrific. And, certainly that's one of the benefits of using a site like insuranceQuotes.com. You're getting multiple quotes. You have the opportunity to get the best that's out there for your situation, depending on, your health, your age, your unique circumstances. And that's why we love working with agents like Vicki, who are able to bring in multiple quotes for you. And as she says, that's so important. You don't want to get just one quote. It's important to take a look at the landscape of the market. Terrific. Well, Vicki, if you're ready, I think we could go ahead and open up our Q&A session, and we're very interested to know what questions you have. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can submit your question using our Twitter hashtag, which is LifeInsuranceIQ. Again, that's hashtag LifeInsuranceIQ. So if you submit your question on Twitter using that hashtag, we'll see it and we'll be able to get to you, even though you're not on the actual webinar with us. But for folks who are on the webinar, you'll see a Q&A box in your panel, which will be either to the right or at the top of your screen. And I would love for you to type in any questions right now that you have for Vicki, for me, any questions or comments that you may have. We'd love to take them. And if you're having any troubles with the Q&A, you can chat us and let us know what's going on. Okay, Vicki, we have a question from Tim, who is wondering how he should choose his insurance through his employer. If he's got some options for himself and his wife, how do I choose the options at work?
So again, if the company is going to give you the life insurance for free, such as 1 times your annual earnings, typically the spouse is going to be 50% of that or what have you. Take that free insurance that they're going to give you and then compare it and shop it to what it would cost buying it independently. The benefit of buying it with a group is you're not underwritten, so that's also a disadvantage, which means you're paying for the sick people too. But if you're healthy, it might be less expensive for you to buy it outside of the group, and that way you have it to own for yourself. So if you ever did change jobs, you own your own policy.
Terrific. Thanks so much for that. All right, let's check and see if we have anything on hashtag, anything coming in on Twitter. Nothing yet. So if you're watching on YouTube, remember you can submit. We do have a question from Dorothy. Thanks, Dorothy. She says, I had a policy for 20 years. Now the insurance company wants to double the cost at half the policy. Could not afford it any longer. What should Dorothy do, Vicki?
So that's because you bought a term policy. You bought it for a period of years, and that's what I'm talking about. So, of course, they assume you're just going to cancel it. You would never carry a term on unless you were terminally ill or can't carry it on. So you want to go out now and shop a new plan because you bought a term. That's what you've got to do. If you still want coverage, you've got to do it.
Okay, terrific. Laura says, I'm getting married a second time. I have 3 adult children and 7 grandchildren. How do I make sure that I take care of them before I take care of his 3 children?
So the beneficiary form is going to direct how the money is paid out. So the beneficiary form trumps a trust. So keep that in mind. A beneficiary form trumps a trust. So if you have a trust and you have everything going to your second husband, the beneficiary form will indicate how that life insurance proceeds are going to be dispersed. So
yeah, that's so important.
Right.
Do you find that a lot of people really, are making mistakes with the way they're designating beneficiaries?
Yep, I've seen actually people come into my office that have had an ex-spouse still listed on their beneficiary form. So, make sure you update your beneficiary forms regardless of what you've done to your trust. That beneficiary form will supersede anything in a court of law.
Yeah, that's so important. So thanks for bringing that up. We have a question from Mary who says, Vicki and Laura, what are your thoughts on who should own the life policies, as far as should the husband own the wife's and or the wife own the husband's, or what do you suggest?
That's a real good question. My scenario, those of you that watch my show knows that Don and I did get divorced. Fortunately, 15 years ago, I bought a large universal life policy on him while my kids were young. I own that policy. I am the beneficiary of that policy. I pay on that policy. Nobody can ever take that away from me. If he gets remarried, I still own that policy. So divorce happens. Unfortunately, it does. If you own the policy, your spouse cannot redo that beneficiary form. So my recommendation is, if you want to protect your interests in that life insurance policy, you own it.
Terrific. Rosalind says, I'm a new insurance broker. This has been so informative in helping show the need to my clients. I tend to push whole life, so I'm glad she explained the term for young families. So what advice could you give Rosalind as a new broker in the business?
You're going to make less because you're not getting the big ticket items or the residuals. However, you're going to do the right thing for the client. So that same $100 might buy $500,000 or $600,000 of term policies versus $100,000 with universal life, but you're doing the right thing. You're still having the same premium. One is going to be residual income, one's going to be first year commission, and that's it. By the way, you know you do not get paid residual commission on term insurance. It's only on the universal life at a reduced rate. So you're doing the right thing for the client by first loading them up with whatever they need for protection and then adding the universal life after that for longevity.
Terrific. It looks like we have another perhaps insurance agent, Nicole, who says, Vicki, in your opinion, what's the most important habit to create as a brand new life insurance agent?
Wow. Set your goals. I think that's one of my biggest things that's kept me on track year after year after year after year. If I need to sell 5 policies a week or 10 policies a week or 30 policies a week, I don't stop working until I sell those. And then if I miss it for a week, I actually do a weekly goal sheet and a monthly goal sheet and a quarterly goal sheet. If I'm off track at all, I can immediately change my life to either work more or work less. So the beauty of this business is we can work as much as we want. I'm a workaholic. I love what I do. I'm a little bit eccentric on that, but my goals are there for a reason because I need some monetary income in order to sustain my payroll, my lifestyle, my mortgage, all my responsibilities. So I know what I have to produce every single month. Either set it out by policies or set it out by premium. So policies are going to average anywhere from $500 to $1,500. So you can do it either way. But that's what keeps me focused. I don't get distracted. I don't go out for dinner with friends. I don't play on the weekends unless I sell the policies that I need to sustain my lifestyle.
Fantastic. I love your work ethic, Vicki. I'm the same way. Carl says, at what point in a term policy should you begin shopping for your next one? For example, how many years into a 20-year term policy should you start looking for another one, given that it gets more expensive as we age?
Well, you know you can stack term policies. And stacking means, let's say you're 10 years into that, you might want to buy another 20 or 30 right now and still keep that 10-year going out. You stack them on top of each other because inflation's hitting us. Everything is going on the rise. So maybe what you bought 20 years ago or 10 years ago isn't sufficient enough. So stack another one on top of it. You know, I've got 10 policies. They're all stacked. Every 5 years I buy more insurance. Why? Because I'm going to die one day. And I want my beneficiaries and my business to keep sustaining itself.
Terrific. So we had a question from Stacy who says, do you give your fellow housewives financial or insurance advice?
I do, but they don't listen. So it's like talking to a box of rocks. No, they don't listen. No. So I've given up on them.
Oh, that's terrific. You know, Vicki, I think a lot of people would love to know how you got in the business to begin with, you know, and also how the Housewives' success has affected the business that you're in.
Well, it's given me opportunities that I would have never been able to have by being on on the show. I think the platform, I'm able to speak at women's conferences all over the country, inspiring women what to do and what not to do. Unfortunately, I've been divorced. I can see what a divorce does to a family. Divorce is a 50% statistic, and it's we can't really get around it. But if I wasn't financially secure, my divorce would have devastated me, not only emotionally but financially. So I believe that every woman and every man needs to have some sort of self-worth in a career, whether it's insurance or something. They need to be able to sustain their lifestyle with or without that spouse. Because stuff happens, things happen. People never expect death to happen or divorce to happen or all the different things that have happened in our lives. When we're financially secure with either insurance or at least a job, it makes it easier. It doesn't make it go away. My divorce was really costly, and I'm the hindsight. It's behind me, but it's in my rearview mirror. I try not to look back. But if I didn't have my company or didn't have a place to go to every single day, that I had self-worth and I knew I was doing good for my clients and my employees, I would have probably crumbled. So that is one thing that I want everyone to at least have some idea of what is going on in your home, what is going on with the finances. Don't be blind to it. I mean, women come in and say, I never wrote a check. I didn't know what my husband was investing in. You need to know. If you're married, you need to know. You have that right.
Absolutely. Yeah, great advice. Vicki, we've got a question from Gordon who says, I'm 46 years old and I need insurance. I don't have any. I'm between jobs. Don't have any debt. However, I need insurance for final costs and to leave something to my fiance and 2 grown children. What type and how much insurance would be best for me?
And I'm sorry, how old are you?
46.
46. So a 30-year term would push you out to 76. Statistically, you will outlive that. So if you need to have that coverage all the way to age 100, then you need to buy permanent insurance. And that is going to be locked in at the age that you buy it, locked in your health. And the amount of insurance, I'd have to do fact-finding really to figure out what you want to leave behind. But you know, that's something that we could do privately. But you probably need permanent insurance, most likely. If you want an estate to pass on to your loved ones, you need permanent insurance.
And Mary says, what are your thoughts on purchasing life insurance, say universal life, on infants or young children? What are your best tips?
Well, I actually have a policy on my little grandson, Troy, who's 2. I bought it for him when he was 1. Little Owen is 4 months, and he'll have a policy when he's 1. That premium is $2,500 a year, and I pay that because I'd rather gift him that per year than a bunch of toys and clothes that he'll outgrow. So life insurance on children are really a great way to start building up something for them. When he's 20, 25, 30, 35, he'll have this $250,000 life insurance policy to either cash in and take all the cash for college or wedding or whatever he chooses, or he could continue it and pay the $2,500 a year and have a permanent policy till he dies. So I think it's a great idea. I think every grandparent should be doing it.
And Vicki, we have a question from Karina who says, what happens if you and your husband have a joint policy and then you get a divorce?
Well, you will still be on your husband's policy. It's a rider on his. You've got to get your own policy. You've got to buy your own policy. That's why I don't recommend these riders.
Okay, great. Any other questions? We've gone through a lot of them. I'd say, Vicki, what are some of the common questions that you hear, you know, just in your day-to-day working with people of maybe different backgrounds and different income levels? What's kind of the most confusing issue that seems to come up for you?
How much death benefit do I need? Do I need term or permanent? I mean, those are things that we can solve pretty quickly. But I just want to take if, God forbid, tomorrow you died, what's going to happen to your family? And put that in everybody's mind. Or, God forbid, your spouse died. I mean, I've got story after story after story of people that died, car accidents, plane accidents, just terrible accidents. One of my clients went and got her wisdom teeth pulled 6 months ago, came home, got an infection, 34 years old, 4 children, died. She had a $10,000 death benefit. She got an infection that manifested through her whole body. She had her wisdom teeth pulled, and she died. And her husband has 4 children to try to support now and pay for daycare, and she had a $10,000 life insurance policy. She didn't work. She didn't think it was important for her. Her husband was a client of mine, and here now they've got a mess on their hand. They didn't insure her, which they should have. I told them they should have. He's like, well, she doesn't work. There's no value. Everybody has value. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, God forbid you died, who's going to take care of those kids?
That's right.
Life insurance.
That's right. Absolutely. That's a very good point. I do think a lot of stay-at-home parents kind of miss the boat, and they think that just because they're not pulling in an income into the household that they don't need coverage on their life. And just as you said, the reality is the spouse is going to have to pay for daycare and pick up all those just day-to-day things that the stay-at-home parent was doing for those children, and that's expensive. So it is definitely something that couples need to think about together. Having both parties, both people insured is really important. I don't think you could say one person's life is more valuable than another. Everybody is creating value for the household, although it may be at a different value level. There is value even for a stay-at-home parent and what they're providing for the other person in the house and for the children. So that's a really great point.
Right.
Do we have any other questions? I think we've had some really good feedback here, so I want to thank everybody for asking questions. If there's anything else that we can help you with, we're here for you. We definitely want to thank you for participating in this event and would love for you to connect with us. Vicki's Twitter handle is @VGunvalson. My Twitter handle is @LauraAdams, LauraAdams. And for Insurance Quotes, we are insuranceQuotes. So we are very, very happy that everyone was able to join. Vicki, do you have any parting words for us or anything you'd like to for us to keep in mind as we go about our day?
I actually do. Pray for me. I'm going to be starting season 10 in January filming, and I'm studying for my 65 right now, which is my securities license. So I'm overwhelmed and anxious to get that behind me. But those are the 2 things. If you guys lift me up in prayer, that would be great. Otherwise, I'm lifting all of you up in prayer, and I just, I'm so happy that you guys joined us and took the time out of your busy day. And I thank you for your support. It means a lot to me.
Fantastic. We had someone ask, how are we going to do the book giveaway? And so what we're going to do is choose the 5 participants that asked questions, the first 5 that we answered questions for, and I'm going to communicate with you all by email. I have your emails, so we'll be contacting you to send your books within the next day or 2. So I want to thank everyone who's been on the line with us. Vicki, I know that you're running ragged right now with your class.
So everyone, thank you. I'm going to sign off if that's okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Again, thanks to everyone who's on the line, and we hope to see you soon on Insurance Quotes Twitter page or even on the Facebook page. Would love to communicate with you and follow up on any questions that we didn't get to cover. I see a few that did come in late, so feel free to post them on the Insurance Quotes Facebook page, and we may even put a few up on ourselves. So again, thanks so much, and we hope to see you on the next event. Bye-bye.